Hello and welcome to our 6th episode of this, our 3rd season of the Joey Wright Show. I, of course, am your host, Joey Wright. We've got a lot to get to today. Dan Wachtel and Austin Yancey, if not for the faint of heart, are in studio today, and they've got a performance coming up later in the show. But first, since most of the show is going to be dedicated to them and not for the faint of heart, a local band if you don't know, we're going to do our rundown as part of our first segment here now. If you're new to the Joey Wright Show, the rundown is where I generate 5 random topics and talk about them at length, no matter what they are, for 30 seconds. And we've gotten some pretty interesting topics in the past. If you're just here for Dan, Austin, Jesse, and the band, you'll just have to skip along to that. We got an interview with Dan and Austin coming up. But if you're not watching on YouTube, you're stuck with me. So the rundown this afternoon, we will talk about the following topics. Persuasive speaking, crosswords, guidance, body hair removal, and dietary supplements. Those are the 5 topics we will discuss here in the rundown for 30 seconds each, starting with persuasive speaking. And, you know, I think persuasive speaking, if you're good at persuading an audience to do what you want them to do, to believe what you want them to, really anything, then you're going to be pretty well set in life. Persuasive speaking, it's a skill that maybe salespeople would need to be skilled at. It's a skill that, I mean, really everyone should. And you know, I really didn't even have to be speaking. Like persuasive letters, persuasive text. That's a key skill to know how to do. Crosswords. I like crossword puzzles. Obviously, there's one very famous one in the New York Times every week. Crosswords are. It can be fun. I mean, I'm not a huge crossword puzzle junkie, but they're fun. They can pass some time. They're kind of like Sudoku or something of that nature when it comes to just recreation. I mean, old people like crossword puzzles. Stereotype. Moving on to guidance. I think everyone needs some guidance in life. I think. But the thing with guidance is, if you're going to be seeking it out, you've got to seek it from the right sources, because there are going to be some people who steer you wrong, but you know there are also going to be some people who give you some good advice and really lead you along the right path in life. So if you're going to seek out guidance, just my advice to you, my guidance to you would be to make sure you're seeking out your the right idols, in that they give you good advice and steer you in the right direction. And body hair removal, you know, that's a bit of a weird one, you know, and yeah, I don't really have much on that. It's hard to get into in just 30 seconds. You know, I've heard waxing is painful, so I don't think I'd ever go down that avenue. But, you know, it's just one of those deals where if you... you know, if you don't want your body hair, you might have to explore that as an option, I guess. But thank God that's over. Am I right? And dietary supplements, you know, if you're working out, you might want some protein, some vitamins. You get that at, I think, GNC. You know, dietary supplements are intended to be supplements. Let me say this. You can't make your whole diet based on some, you know, protein shakes, but dietary supplements, if you're working out, leading a healthy lifestyle, they can supplement that and help steer you to success. And that's the timer on dietary supplements, and with that, the rundown is over. So we've got a great show for you today. Dan Wachtel and Austin Yancey, if not for the faint of heart, are in our studio today. We'll do an interview with them on the other side of the break, and then after that, they will perform 3 songs on the Joey Wright Show. We taped them last night, the first time we've ever had a musical act on the Joey Wright Show. That's coming up on the Joey Wright Show. I said Joey Wright Show quite a bit there in a short span of time, but hey, stick with us on the Joey Wright Show because it's going to be a great one after the break. And we're back on the Joey Wright Show, and I am proud to welcome Dan Wachtel and Austin Yancey of Not for the Faint of Heart to the studio. And guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's great to have you.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. So, and as we were just talking, we didn't really prepare any material for this interview. We were just going to kind of wing it. I want to start with you, Dan. You guys have been, I think you were the longest tenured member of the band.
Yes.
I know you guys have been going back to at least when we were in 7th grade, maybe before that.
Well, it's kind of weird because we weren't necessarily we were Scoia'Oty in like 7th grade, and then Luke quit the band. We couldn't find a drummer, and so we just decided to take a hiatus.
Right.
And I kind of focused more on my punk rock band, Rocket Mouth, and then freshman year, I put an ad up on Craigslist. I was lucky enough to find like someone who isn't an axe murderer.
Yeah, right. No kidding.
Yeah.
You always hear those stories.
Yeah. But yeah, I found this kid from Tuscola named Will Penn.
Okay.
And he joined the band. I saw us sit at the farmer's market. I asked him to just at least come jam with us. He just decided he was originally that was the original plan. He wasn't gonna. It was gonna go anywhere with him. We were just gonna like see how this new guy fits. And
right.
then Sid decided, well, this sounds kind of cool, so I'm gonna just join the band. And then I met Sean in PE, and he was a guitarist. He was pretty good. He was really good at it too. And then he recommended Drake, and we were a 5-piece band at one point. We played one show with that 5-piece lineup, and then Sean quit, and we played Pygmalion. Then everybody quit, and then I was friends with him, and I was like, "Oh, you know how to play guitar?" And he's like, "I know a little bit. I haven't played in a long time, so
right.
I kind of suck at it." So he became the bassist, and
unfortunately,
and then I knew Jesse from jazz band, and
right.
I also knew Sean, and we had him in the band for a while. It worked out a bit until we wanted to start recording an album, and then that plan kind of fell through with him. We eventually just decided to part ways with him because he was just falling too far behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough to do, and like we've been finding ways we've been trying to compromise with him for quite a long time. So yeah. we were just kind of faced with that decision.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys have rolled with the punches for years, just kind of getting along, getting by.
Yeah.
Austin, so you joined the band, would that be how long ago? That'd be...
1 year ago I joined the band.
Yeah. And what's that been like for you, obviously? Because, I mean, it's kind of a novelty to have a group of high schoolers who have their own band, and I know, that generates a lot of intrigue for you guys.
Yeah.
And you guys do a good job, but what's that been like, being a part of Not for the Faint of Heart?
Well, I mean,
as a high schooler?
It's been great because I've always had a dream of playing music for a living because, like influences that I wanted. And I've tried to start up a couple of bands. They all failed completely because we had no clue what we were doing. And so I met Dan when I was in 8th grade, and he thought I was some 20-year-old dude who like went to high school and to hang out with the kids or whatever. Which, I mean, whatever. But freshman year I met him, and I thought it was pretty cool. And so like we hit it off, talking about music, stuff like that. We had the same interests, and he hits me with a question: "Do you play?" And I'm like, I'm going to lie to him and say that I do, even though I don't that well. So I'm like, yeah, I play, but not that great. And so I joined the band as the bassist. I sucked completely for like the first week, and then, I bullied myself to learn all the songs and just kind of took off.
Right. And you mentioned influences. I was going to talk to you guys about that. That's somewhere I wanted to go. What have been some of your influences for the both of you in... just kind of the music you play, the sound you guys have. Dan, we'll start with you.
All right.
You were talking to me about that the other day in the car.
Yeah, I like Trivium a lot. They're probably my favorite band. they're actually releasing a new album, and the way I can tell that is because they posted an aesthetic picture of like smoke in front of this reddish black background, and it said trivium.org on it, and trivium.org was just this smokish black red background, which means they're gonna release a new album. So I'm pretty stoked for that because they're like my favorite band. Another band that I really like is A Day to Remember, because they fuse probably the things you'd expect, like the two groups that you'd expect to like fight each other, like pop punk and metal.
Yep.
They fuse those together and it works out just perfectly, if I say so myself.
And you were talking, you got a new album of theirs last week.
I got
Not a new album, but
I got what separates me from you. It's the one where he's in like the hourglass and all these people are walking by him, and probably some of my favorite tracks are on the album, like Second Sucks, All I Want, All Signs Point to Lauderdale, which is probably my favorite pop punk song of all theirs. Right. And yeah, those are probably my two most favorite bands right now. I've really been getting into Linkin Park lately.
Obviously,
yeah.
Well,
I mean, I kind of forgot how much I liked them over the years. Cause like, the news about Chester kind of like made me say I'm gonna listen to him on my way to my game. To just kind of like pay tribute to him. Yeah,
they're good. I mean, I like Linkin Park too. And you guys did a cover of Linkin Park. One Step Closer.
Yeah.
That we will obviously see later in the program. And I was amazed at just how well you two knew the song.
We learned it as a band
in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah. And it was just ingested
mostly
too.
one day.
Right. It sounded good. I mean, as the viewers will see, it sounded really good. Now, moving over to you, Austin, some influences for you. Just, I mean, maybe even some bands you like right now. And recommendations to the viewers.
Guar's a great band. You should see them. But growing up, it was always been like Nirvana and Eminem and like some hardcore rap. And so I had this one friend who was a real big nerd, but I didn't know like the metal, and he gave me this shiny blue Lightning record labeled Ride the Lightning by the band Metallica. And so they became a huge influence for me. Old school Avenged Sevenfold, A Day to Remember.
Okay.
Like some hardcore death metal bands that no one's probably heard of at all.
But I mean, also some mainstream names in there, you know.
Like Linkin Park, I love. Yeah. I also really love Motley Crue. They're a huge influence.
Okay. Yeah.
Style-wise, anyways.
I probably wouldn't be here today without hair metal. It was like I listened to that all through my 3rd and 4th grade before I discovered like harder stuff like Metallica.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe some favorite albums for you guys. This is something that someone wanted me to ask. Favorite albums, favorite songs, just maybe not necessarily from those bands, because we've all got those songs from just random bands that we enjoy.
Musicians don't really go by songs, they go by albums. So it's a good thing that you came.
My favorite song in the entire world is Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears.
Right.
Well, with pop, you don't really go with albums because there's the hit and then there's like all these other filler tracks.
The one-hit wonders.
But yeah, I'd say probably my... You want to go by top 5 or top 10?
Oh, we can do top 5. Maybe
top 5 would be easier to think of.
Honorable mentions.
Probably my number 1 is Shogun by Trivium.
Okay.
Now, what separates me from you? Not in order. What separates me from you by A Day to Remember? For Those Who Have Heart by A Day to Remember. Ascendancy by Trivium.
Okay.
And
More A Day to Remember.
Yeah, I was going to say, taking what, 3 of the 4 spots here?
Probably Trivium again within Waves.
Okay, and over to you, Austin.
I would say Ride the Lightning by Metallica, Wake in the Fallen by Avenged Sevenfold, Shogun by Trivium, Ascendancy by Trivium, and lastly, but not least, it'd be Eaten Back to Life by Cannibal Corpse.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, you guys are both rocking your kind of identity.
Yep.
I mean, this is stuff you see you guys wearing on stage. I want to say.
Yeah. He wore that yesterday. He just kind of slept over in my house.
Yeah.
So he didn't have anything to change it into.
Yeah. And he's wearing that shirt on the show post that I made.
Yeah.
So, but and then I want to talk about you guys on August 19th at Blips and Shits. You guys are playing for the Brighton Fest. We were talking about this last night. A fundraiser for one of your friends.
Yeah, our friend Brighton lost his job the other day, and he made this long post on Facebook about like he was gonna ditch his phone, he was gonna ditch his house, and he was just gonna run off and just like
himself.
Yeah, but he didn't say that.
Well, not implied.
Yeah.
It was sort of implied. Like we were worried about him, so everybody kind of like spread the word around. His roommates called someone. I think it was the police, and the police found him, and he wasn't dead. He was very much alive, and
Luckily.
yeah, he came back. He came back to Facebook better than ever, and when they're setting up, his roommates are setting up this festival to help him get out of debt, and I think it's their first gig that actually has a cover charge, and that's the reason why.
Right,
So
and certainly a great cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard about it, and so I shot the host of the fest a message saying, like, can we play? Because, like, we obviously care about this guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, supporting the music, supporting our friends,
Yeah, supporting the
because
scene.
Right.
we want to, like, do the most we can to help out our scene, help out our friends
Yeah.
and everything. And so we got in the bill,
Yeah.
and we're now playing there. So.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean,
We
really.
don't know all the details yet since it's like so far away, but
Right.
we'll get it.
You mentioned perhaps a barbecue if there's enough interest.
If it generates enough interest, there will probably be a barbecue.
That'd be neat.
Yeah.
And then, do you know maybe anyone else who's playing there? Or I mean, we're
can't
still
really. Old Fox Road is playing there.
Okay.
I think it's led by our friend Dylan Chupp, who was another runner of Blips and Shits.
Okay.
And yeah, that's.
Yeah, it was a great cause, and
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
I'm going to make it out there myself. What is the cover charge? Do you know?
I think it's $5.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no reason not to come out. That's August 19th at Blips and Shits, and come support them. Great cause. And before we get to the performance, I want to talk. Obviously, "One Step Closer" by Linkin Park was a song that you guys covered for the show. 2 Not for the Faint of Heart originals. You guys want to explain a little about those songs before we get to them for the.
Well, there's Face of Sin, where it just kind of started with him playing this riff. He said it was kind of Load by Metallica.
Yeah.
And
The radio-friendly track.
it's not really radio friendly. I dropped the F.
Not anymore.
Not on this show, of course, but I dropped the F-bomb.
Right.
Oh, you're such.
We appreciate
you're
your
such a savage.
censorship.
Yeah. But yeah, I just kind of it was just kind of a song that wrote itself, you
Right.
know.
And then we have another song called Two Worlds, and it's more of a relatable song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like have troubles or a relationship problem, whatever.
That's kind of what I wrote it around. Yeah, and
That's where a lot of music comes from.
with
Relationships,
like-
just hardships.
Yeah, we wanted to like dig deep into our feelings. I should say that sounds really corny, but
It does. You're right.
I did myself. I really did myself though. And it was originally supposed to be in drop C. I mean, the musicians watching might know what we're talking about, but a lot of you might not know. It's when we tune to like, yeah. But it was originally
Tune to
that. Yeah. It was originally tuned to that, but we had another song that sounded almost exactly like it. So we changed the tuning so it sounded a little different. So like it has a different riff, obviously, but it sounds very similar to the other song, but in a different tuning.
Right.
Yeah.
And then real quick before we get, because we are a little short on time, what's the creative process like for you guys as a band? Is it similar to that, or what?
Usually Austin writes riffs like 24/7. It's almost like he has nothing better to do.
I really don't.
That'd be me.
But yeah, he writes a riff, and then he's like, "Hey, can you write lyrics to this song?" And then I'm like, if we're not low on money to like write music for for this upcoming album, we're just gonna have 8 tracks on this upcoming album. But if we're like, well, money, we can't record the album. I'm just gonna like wait on it, and then like after the album's recorded, we're gonna get on it because I just can't really focus on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
And then, like, I'll write a lyric here or there.
And we just played in front of Jesse, and he just plays along. That's really all that happens.
Right. Jesse, obviously, a very talented drummer.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we're out of time, guys.
Yeah.
But I certainly appreciate you for swinging by for an interview.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, here they are. I present to you Dan Wachtel, Austin Yancey, Jesse Huber, and Not for the Faint of Heart on the Joey Wright Show.
All right.
Awesome.